Alright, I have put together an electrical and lighting plan, extensive enough that it's going to serve your purposes for now in terms of applying for the permit. In terms of the estimate, though, it probably ought to be adjusted to what you would like before an actual estimate is made based on this particular plan. I know these are hard to understand, and I am going to send you some refined PDFs that might help me put things together. So this is the entire electric plan, which includes all the receptacles that you see along these outside walls here, and all the lighting fixtures, and all of the switching and the switching routes. So to clear that up, here I'm just showing the outlets, the receptacles in this view here. And I'll just cover a few of those, just a couple special things. These are floor receptacles, coordinate with the owner. And here you're in pretty good shape now that this is going to be framed on a crawl space. You can add those at any point once you get your furniture. If you ever decide you want one there, that will be nothing to put it exactly where you want. So that doesn't become too much of a concern. If you think that you're going to have those on switches where there's a lamp on a table and you want to be able to just turn a switch on, say here, you probably ought to get that wire in this wall at least before you, even if you don't put the holes in the floor yet. Secondly, and we're just covering things in no particular order, outside I'm showing a couple weatherproof receptacles out here, and whether or not you have those receptacles put down here or put up there on this patio out at this edge here using some approved outdoor receptacle, in any event I would have some conduit run under the, whatever you do there, I would have some conduit run under there and up into this wall. I imagine these cable railings come with, I imagine you can get these with the lighting built into the newel posts. It wouldn't surprise me, but that will have to be decided possibly. In any event, I do think you should put some sort of conduit out there, and we'll discuss a little bit more about the lighting here in a minute. But with the receptacles, I'm just showing a couple weatherproof receptacles out here. The next receptacle issue that I would want to cover will be these countertop receptacles, which is CTR is going to stand for countertop receptacles. And these are ones that are about 4 inches around. They draw a 4-inch hole in your product, and then these go down in, and this is a little short film that gives you a little idea of how those work.
The Tri-Power pop-up countertop receptacles come in 7 different finishes. Determine the location on the countertop where you would like the receptacle to be placed. The countertop to be used should be smooth and clean, with no irregularities. For wireless charging compatible devices, simply place the device on top on the unit. Press down on the unit to reveal the power receptacles, offering flexibility for your 120V products. Press again to close and return to the seamless appearance. The Tri-Power countertop pop-up. Power where you need it, when you need it.
And then they look like that when it pops up. And I guess it has a USB on this side. But remember, that's only going to be one receptacle at each of those locations. So we may want to make different arrangements for that if you think you're going to want more power than 3 total outlets on that whole surface. The alternative to having them in the countertop like that, if you want this staying smooth all the way across, because they're going to require every 4 feet. So the alternative is to have this cabinet built with a larger end panel at the top here, and mount one at this end here, and then maybe this cabinet here has instead of having a drawer at the top, just has a panel, and they are mounted in here, something like that. But that has to be considered as well in terms of those receptacles to serve this countertop. And I did not show any kind of switching close to this island. Sometimes it is possible, if you wanted to switch that, and we'll get to talking about the light fixtures here in a minute, if you want to switch these light fixtures that you're planning here, these pendant light fixtures over this island, If you want to be able to switch those locally, right here, for example, you know, down on the side of this cabinet or side of that cabinet, let me know and I'll reflect that in the final or updated drawing. But finally, with regard to the receptacles, I'm showing that they would technically only require one on these countertops, and maybe, I don't know what kind of backsplash you're going to have, but maybe it would be better if you just had these both together as a fourplex right in the center of each of these. Instead of having to have all of these dots down here, you could just have a fourplex. You can't really have it to one side. It would have to be at least over, you know, it has to be within 2 feet of the edge of this cooktop. And the last thing on these receptacles, these ones down here are shown because they're going to have to make those supplies for these appliances, the garbage disposer, the dishwasher, etc. They're going to have to run separate runs for each of those appliances. I'll mention right now, this garbage disposer, I have this on an air switch which mounts in the sink. If you want that on a regular switch, it's just far from the sink. But I suppose you could have a horizontal mounted switch. There's enough room under this bay window now if you want to, but that switch will have to be decided. I'm showing an air switch that mounts in the sink. And then to begin talking about the lighting and the switching, and I'm going to try to be a little bit more fast here. But if we go and just show the switches now, and some of them are outlets because I have them beside a switch or something like that. But these are the switching locations, okay? Here, the dining room door, and at the hall door, and then over here to the right of the sink, to the left of the sink, further over, basically serving inside this door, and then a double switch down here. So there are only those 7 locations for switching, and I'm just going to go through this kind of a fixture at a time, or a group of fixtures at a time, because I know there's a lot to absorb. So let's just start. These are these outside fixtures. I'm showing some outside fixtures here. You can do whatever you like out here, but I know you're going to want to light this terrace, and I'm showing these 3 sconces, particularly this one to light these stairs, which would be nice, and over here and here to continue that lighting. Whether you want to put additional lighting, I mean, they have these post lights that you put, you know, they're just like a street light almost that you could put out here. But that is also should be considered before that terrace is put together. So this little switch group down here, this double switch here, all that is doing right now, switching this group here. And if you wanted a second switch for additional lighting, I don't know if you're going to have floodlights or anything like that you want controllable from in here, and that's what that would be used for. So that was lighting group 8, I believe. And then the other simpler things, this is this pendant over the sink, and I understand this might be 3 little pendants or any number of fixtures, but presumably this is something that is not a recessed can and projects, you know, it hangs down or whatever. I only have that switched here, which this is like 3 feet from that sink. That's the only location I have that switched. We do have another switch, I mean, according to what I've put together so far, there would be another switch location down here, and you could switch it there and here. The way I've put things together, you wouldn't have the option to switch that all the way down here unless you go to a 5-gang, almost a hospital bank of switches down here. But these are the things that you guys have to decide how you want to control these lighting groups. So there was just that little one, that pendant there. And then over here, these are, when I say under cabinet lighting here particularly, but elsewhere as well, this can be under cabinet lighting and or interior cabinet lighting. These are going to have glass doors and maybe things on them, so they have some awful nice and pretty easy to use cabinet lighting now with LED. These little round things here are indicated to be lighting in the soffit to light the face of these cabinets here, and to light the surface of there, at least to get it down to the surface of this countertop. You will have the under cabinet light. For this group here, actually for all of these sorts of things, I have just put these all on a single switch. Everything that the under cabinet lighting and the in cabinet lighting in here is on a single switch right here. That changes it a little tiny bit further along. But then the next group of lights is this kind of optional thing with these quarter sphere sconces. This one's more option than the rest, but these are mounted on the back side of that wall that closes that beam right about here, like this shows. It would be like this, mounted on the back side of that beam. And I know I'm showing these quarter spheres, but any kind of lighting mounted on the back side of this, maybe it's just one long track light, which is a whole nother approach to this area down here, is that you could have a whole track light mounted on the back side of this beam running that whole 30-foot length with various fixtures. So it's just one, or the track could run up here, but that's another consideration. Those can be there or not. The issue here is you're going to have all this dark sky at night, particularly in the winter time, and this ceiling is going to feel heavy with all these downlights that we have. So these are just, and I explained this to Rob, these are just to light that ceiling, and this one does a similar job on the bottom of this soffit, because I was not inclined to put these little soffit lights down through here. I just wasn't inclined to do that, so maybe that helps to lift that soffit up some too. But remember, this soffit is level with this ceiling, and that brings to mind, I've updated these to be the actual sizes. There's some a little bit smaller. These are just 11 1/4 wide, but if you use some sort of uplighting up here, that's great. And then I would recommend, it would be nice if you could have, you know, this can be one kind here, but maybe a couple fixtures here and here to light both this soffit and this ceiling. Would not be a bad idea. And that'd be the last word on those fixtures, fixture group 7. So, but those can come or go, and I am only switching those at this end and here. These sconces are just switched here and here. Next then are the in-cabinet, under-cabinet, and soffit lighting over here. This whole kitchen bank, everything at the kitchen. So all of the under-cabinet lighting and anything you decide to put up here in the soffit to light the face of those cabinets, light the interior of those cabinets when you open them, that is all connected. That is also only switched from 2 locations, a 3-way switch, here and here to the left of the sink for these cabinet lights. And next we have these pendant fixtures over the island, and I have those switched at 3 locations. 4-way switch. They're switched at the dining room door, to the left of the sink, and at the south door. So they are already switched in 3 locations, but if that was going to be your main go-to kind of light there, it's probably not that big a headache to have a switch, you know, somewhere in here. We take out some of this other fixtures, take out those optional wall sconces so you can see this a little clearer. And the ceiling fan, of course, I have switched on here with the fan speed control. And now we talk about these recessed lights, what they basically is called ambient lighting. And this is the group I have once I talked to Rob and decided to separate these out, kitchen and family room lighting. This is the group I have kind of allocated in the kitchen. Right up through here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. And so these, what I call the kitchen main lighting, are controlled from 2 locations, here at the dining room door and down here. Now these, when I start talking about the family room recessed cans, this is the last section here. This is about the spacing it would require. I mean, they want 5 to 6 feet between these. A couple of these might be close. But when I first put this together, there's the ceiling fan, how that situates with these cans aligned as they are. And this is, I had all of these cans here, all of these ones that don't show the connections, I had those all connected together as one. And there's quite a few of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. And I decided that these two here in front of the fireplace, because these are going to be directional to illuminate that stone, and so I think those should be on their own control, so that can be adjusted lower or higher independently of these other ones. So I have separated those from this group, and now there's 11 over here, but I've separated those and given them their own dimmer switch here to the right of this little wall here. And so that's how the remaining lighting is switched, okay, from this location, and this location. This family room main is switched from all three locations, and because in the summer there's going to be a lot of traffic here. But the thing that occurred to me, putting this film together and these drawings together for you, is whether, first of all, do some of these fixtures, leaving aside whether there's too many or which ones we'll get rid of, should any of these be joined with this kitchen main lighting? Or should kitchen main lighting maybe stretch down like these and pick up these down through here, and then that would just leave this group, this 9 on a single circuit. In any case, do you think we should divide these a little further to give you a little more control? I could see where at least these 1, 2, 3, 4 were on their own, and that would be your family room central, and then this whole perimeter could be separated out. But I know it's a lot to think about, but I wanted to give you something to work with, and I think I'll be sending you over this in a PDF with just the fixtures and the switching locations, and you can that will probably help you to map out what you may or may not want to do, or which direction you might want to go in, because that's a lot to look at and a lot to figure out. So I think that's it for now. I'm going to get this over to you, along with, I will send you a PDF. Well, I'll send you this, that's the whole thing, and I'll send you this, and I'll even send you this and the receptacle plan. So I'll send you 4 or 5 pages that might help you to figure things out or help further refine things. So that's all for now. Thanks very much.